This week, plans are made, but potentially not successful, as I make my first bulkhead, start on a new washboard, and start planning a new hatch. So, got my own wetback now, so I don't keep borrowing the boatyard's one, because I'm always worried about breaking or damaging something like that. But you can't really complain. This was £40 from Screwfix. It's a little baby one. This is actually quite perfect for a boat. So for 40 quid, it's definitely a good boat buy. So if you're looking at cheap things, Titan I actually use already. I've got one of their table saws, and I'm actually quite surprised how good that was. Hence why I wasn't hesitant buying this. But I say plus points, you get a lot of a long line on it, on the cable, and it's quite powerful. But it's also got a blow function as well. I'm not sure you can need that on a boat unless you install it in a jacuzzi. But it's handy for me, the wetback, because I'm just going to try and keep this as dry as possible, so I'm stopping all this moisture coming in here. But yeah, definitely a good buy for 44 quid on Screwfix. Definitely a good buy for a boat. As you can imagine, on a free boat, there's not always a lot that's in good condition. And another part of the boat that was letting water in was the hatch. The hatch used to have what I think you call a sea hood over the front. You can still see the screws that used to hold it down. That was completely rotten. I wasn't even still attached when I got the boat. But what I think was letting the water in was a design flaw that was pushing the water inside. The grooves in the wood, which the hatch slides along, had no drainage holes or anywhere for the water to run after it's landed on top of that hatch, and the only place it could go was inside. The plan was to remove the wood and clean up the fiberglass and start to plan how I will replace the hatch, or what I will do to repair it. I did notice that when I took it apart, there were screw holes along the top of the fiberglass that was potentially where it had a metal or wooden slider, and the top of the main hatch was cut along the sides in a way that made me believe that the hatch used to go around the side and there didn't used to be those wooden slides along the side. If anyone has any ideas or plans for a more modern style hatch, then let me know. But for now, I'm just cleaning it up as best as I can before I decide what to do next. I did have to reinstate the hatch because of the strong winds we had, and I didn't fancy giving my hatch to my neighbour. After I'd done that, then it was days and days of sanding. So I won't bore you with that, but I've just been sanding, getting ready for the new bulkheads. And it's sadly all I could do with the weather we've had recently. Presuming you can actually hear that, but there's a little bit of wind and rain today. I've been sanding this, and rather than just have a video of a week of sanding, which it feels like right now, I'm going to start measuring out and doing this bottom part. So you'll see just here, there's a small bulkhead here that was supporting the chain locker. So just to break it up a bit, so it isn't too boring. But I can't do the top yet, and I've stopped sanding because I do need to take the pulpit out. So as you can probably see, these are a little bit rotten. So I'm going to start by making a template for this bottom part of the bulkhead that supports the chain locker. Initially, I've got to measure and figure out where I'm going to put the chain locker, starting from the top, so I can actually put this bulkhead sort of halfway underneath halfway along the chain locker. So it gives it the best sort of support, and also actually make sure it's angled towards the drain hole. You can see at the front there. But as I have got a few more bits to do at the top here, and it's not exactly the weather to be up on deck taking things apart, probably fly off into the distance. The other thing that I've been meaning to do, and I have been looking at this hatchway, but I think I will have to just get rid of this chipboard that I've been using as a temporary solution. It's swollen up so it doesn't actually slide in anymore. But I think I might just make one whole washboard that slides in. I've got some leftover perspex as well, so I might actually put a window in the middle. But it'd be just nice to have for now, for the year or so I'm going to be repairing this boat. So it's taken me a while, but I've actually managed to mark out where the new bulkheads are going to be. I'm not sure how it's going to work 100% with the hole pit. This can actually come down now, because I was having the bulkhead as much, well, as far as I can up against this. The other option was to have the bulkhead right along here and then move this back, so have it behind the pulpits. But I might see how this goes. But I've marked this first bulkhead, which I'm going to try and do the template for now. And that is halfway along to support the weight of the chain locker. Apologies for the camera angle. I'm kind of balancing the camera. I've started making a template. I'm just going to try and glue this in place loosely. If you get a glue gun, get one that has got a longer cable than what I've got. So the idea is to slowly build up this template. So first template done, very, very rough template. When I started marking out this, the problem being is this is so bumpy. Probably where I sanded it, but also it wasn't smooth before. So when I was marking it, the problem being the pen, or however I was marking it, was quite hard to do along the edges, because it's dipping into these little ruts. So I had to sort of gradually do the edging. This side, I had a look at Boatworks, and he does his templates in a different way, so I've tried that method on that side. This side took me ages to do, to sort of get it in line. Now, the template I've done on, I can actually move this out of the way. The template I've actually done on the wider part here. So obviously once I cut out the plywood and bring it down, I'm going to have to sand, or I could cut at a bit of an angle, but I'm a bit worried about the different curves in this, even with the template. Some of these are a bit more of an angle than, say, down the bottom here. So I might cut it at a 90 degree and then come down and sand it. But that's the first template done to go in the bottom here. So here we have the very first bulkhead going back in. Template's pretty much exactly on, but it's fallen down a little bit. What I've done is measured around the edge, and I'm looking at about a centimetre gap. So I'm hoping if I cut it at an angle where it takes, I'm going to do it, it's just over a centimetre, but I'm going to do it just on 1 centimetre at an angle that way. I'm hoping that it'll slot in, because obviously this is going to be filleted in around the edges. I'm going to take it home in epoxy, coat it, do a wet covering of cloth as well, just to strengthen it. Doesn't have to be exactly on the hole. I don't think I'd ever get it that close to the hole, but as long as it's quite neat and tidy, and the fillets and the tabbing's going to secure it in place. The main thing I'm looking for is just having that straight edge at the top for when the next part is done, and that sits on top, and also the strengthened, obviously, the cloth on that to stop it getting damaged. So now this is why it is a bit of a failure. So upon getting the bulkhead to fit nicely, I've realised I've actually measured wrong. So if that holds there, it's a bit windy, so it might shake free, but I'm way off. don't know if I can actually get a good view of that. So straight up, so at a kind of an angle, I'm way off. Now I'm gonna see what people say, but I'm a bit worried about it being at an angle where the bottom's pointing towards the stern of the boat, is where it's not actually coming straight down, is whether that's going to affect, obviously with the chain going in above, it's not pushing directly at a 90-degree down to the bottom, so it's, I don't know structurally whether that's going to be alright. I'm sure it would be, because it's going to be tapped into the hull. Now the boat, as I said, was made level, and it is literally nearly level. If I start checking all the bulkheads, they're all, it's literally a tiny bit out if I have it at a level. So that isn't in, I needed to measure that more with the bulkhead, I think. Although I did measure it, I've obviously not done something wrong. And some of the more astute people will notice some of this wood here, and that isn't from the pulpit, sadly. So the other thing that I've noticed, which is why I'm delaying putting in this bulkhead, is this is the backing plate for the forestay with rolling head sail, and that is wet and rots. So I don't know where that's coming from. It's not completely rusted through. There is still solid wood in there. But the other thing I've noticed as well is that is all soft in there. So that is a slight issue as well. Now, the core doesn't start until here anyway. And that's actually coming off a bit as well. And that is not cored there. So if I was to repair that, I wouldn't have to worry about the core straight away. But I have to see, because I've got to figure out how to sort out the, because I can't take the mast off, how to sort out the forestay, tying that down some way, and how to do that before I can actually look at fixing that. But if I do put in the bulkhead, then that's going to restrict my access to that when I repair it and sand it back and everything. Well, I think it will anyway. So where does that leave me after another week of work? The bulkhead, although I had messed up the measurements, I still managed to create a template and create that bulkhead, although it was wrong. But I still managed to make it, so I suppose that's one thing positive to look at. I've got the washboard to finish off, and I'm going to try and incorporate a perspex sheet I have into that. That's only going to be temporary whilst I'm working on the boat, because I'm going to change it for something a bit more suitable for sailing at a later date. Another positive this week is the hatch. Even though I haven't actually fixed the hatch or put a new hatch on, since removing the wood, it's actually stopped the water from coming inside the boat. But that's something else exciting to look forward to. Now the downside is discovering the rotten core in the front bow, and also the fact that I need to figure out how to tie the forestay so that I can actually replace that backing plate for the forestay where it goes through the hole. And I'm hoping that I don't have to touch the core yet. I'm probably going to have to replace some, but I'd rather just get that forestay bolted down and safe before having to worry about replacing core material. So I won't be able to get to the boat again until Tuesday. So I think what I'm going to look at doing is a list of all the jobs that I know I need to do. So some jobs more urgent than others, some jobs a lot further down the line, but some jobs I need to do as soon as I can. I think it's time to get a bit more organised. But for now, I hope you enjoyed this week. Don't forget to click like and subscribe if you enjoyed the video, and see you soon.